It's time for KP's Video News. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News, y'all. KP's Video News. That's right, folks. It's time for KP's Video News. I'm going to dive right on in because I got some good stories here today. And, you know, hey, man, it's just some things that are going on that we really have to keep our eyes on. And a lot of times you won't see these stories. A lot of times you won't see these stories in the mainstream media. I'd like to give a shout out to Sister Molly Bell for doing her thing over in Pasadena yesterday. And fighting, she's been a true soldier fighting for the rights of people in Southern California for a long time. One of my ex-co-workers, Molly Bell from Compton. All right, Molly, keep doing what you do, sister. All right, here we have, it's a black man that in Texas that died while in police custody. And it was a black man that died in police custody in county jail corrections officers after being arrested for having marijuana. On March 14th, Marvin David Scott III, 26 years old, died in police custody after he was restrained and pepper sprayed by the county detention officers. He had been arrested after the police stated they found marijuana in his possession. Police officials from the Allen Police Department stated that the police officers approached Scott while responding to a disturbance call at the Allen Premium Outlets. Police officers said they observed Scott was acting in an erratic manner and assumed that he was high on drugs. They called for assistance from paramedics and with Allen Fire Department. Scott was taken by ambulance to Texas Health Allen Hospital, where he was in the emergency room for about 3 hours. He was released in the police custody and processed at the Allen Police Headquarters holding facility, and then transported and released to the custody of the Collin County Sheriff's Office. After being booked, officials said Scott began to exhibit some strange behavior, and seven police officers restrained Scott. They placed him in a bed to stabilize him and pepper sprayed him. The officers used a spit mask to cover his face. Scott then became non-responsive and was taken to Baylor Scott and White McKinney Medical Center in McKinney, Texas, just north of Allen, where he was pronounced dead. Chief Bryant of Allen Police Department released a statement. The Allen Police Department joins the community in sadness following the death of Marvin Scott III. Mr. Scott died in custody at the Collin County Jail following an earlier arrest by Allen Police Department, and he met Mr. Scott's family earlier this week to express condolences. And when asked how I could describe their son to our department and the Allen community, I learned that Marvin was a straight A student, a football player, and generous to everyone around him. The Texas Rangers are currently conducting an independent investigation into the cause of Mr. Scott's death at the Collin County Jail, and the city of Allen and the Allen Police Department are cooperating fully with their investigation. To ensure the integrity of the investigation, the information we can provide is limited and may be reviewed. We offer our sincere sympathy to the Scott family. Wow. So that's another black man arrested for something simple like marijuana, man, ended up dead. Oh, boy. Man, it's stuff like this. These stories, that's one reason why I was doing the news for a long time, and I kind of stopped for a minute, because sometimes these stories can really take a lot. They can take a lot out of you, man. They can take a lot out of you, they just drain you, man, sometimes. And I have to really be careful. And so anyway, the Georgia State, this is another next story. Georgia State lawmakers arrested a Georgia State lawmaker arrested protesting Kemp's signing of a sweeping voting bill. And it's really crazy, man. This right here is like, I don't know. I don't know. We're not paying attention the way we should, because what they're doing down in Georgia, man, is definitely a crime. A Democratic Georgia state lawmaker was arrested by state troopers in charge on Thursday, that was yesterday, after she knocked on Governor Brian Kemp's door multiple times as he signed a controversial voting bill into law. Police told the police stated that Representative Park Cannon was taken to the Fulton County Jail, where she was charged with obstruction of law enforcement as well as preventing or disrupting General Assembly sessions or other meetings of members. Thursday night, NAACP attorney Gerald Griggs confirmed to reporters that the representative had been released during an impromptu press gaggle outside the jail. He added that Cannon sustained bruises during her arrest. We had an African-American woman who was standing up for the voices of millions of Georgia voters, Griggs said. Griggs added that he intends to get Cannon absolved of all charges. And Lieutenant Riley, Georgia State Patrol's Public Information Director, said in a statement that Hill began knocking on the door to Kemp's office as he hosted a live stream event for the bill signing. Police said that the governor's ceremonial office door was marked with the governor's staff only sign, along with stanchions blocking the door. Representative Cannon continued to knock on the door and was instructed again to stop knocking on the door, Riley stated. She was advised that she was disturbing what was going on inside, and if she did not stop, she would be placed under arrest. Wow, man, this is crazy. So you got people getting arrested, man, for knocking on doors now. So the controversial bill in question includes voting restrictions, such as limiting the use of ballot drop boxes and setting photo ID requirements for absentee voting. It has been widely condemned by Democrats who claim the legislation is largely fueled by recent Republican electoral losses in 2020 and early 2021. And so, some of this interaction was on the internet, in which it showed Cannon stood in front of a police officer and can be seen moving past him to knock on the door before she was placed in handcuffs. And she was definitely arrested. And it makes no sense, man. So you had, reporters and protesters asking why you arresting her. It's like, this is some straight Jim Crow stuff, man. Jim Crow is back. It's back in the South, and maybe in a lot of other places too, but definitely in the South. Tamara Stevens, who stated that Cannon was not causing a disturbance, adding it was within her rights to witness the governor's signing of the bill. She knew he was signing a bill that would affect the rights of many millions of people in the state of Georgia. He was fighting for the rights of Georgians, and they arrested her for knocking on the door because she wanted to witness the governor sign the bill. Telling you, man, this stuff right here, you can't make it up, man. Cannon, 24, is the youngest lawmaker and one of 3 lawmakers elected to the State House in 2016, and a lawmaker is also a parishioner at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia, where Senator Raphael Warnock was the senior pastor. So, Jim Crow laws in Georgia, the whole state of Georgia, trying to do what they can to stop you from voting. They lost those elections because people had an opportunity and a fair opportunity to vote. Now they want to take that fair opportunity to vote away by restricting and so now you need to take this to the Supreme Court. You need to fight it in the state of Georgia. Take it to the Supreme Court, because this is voter suppression at its worst. I don't know if you remember this story here, but a few months back, this lady named Ponsetto, and she was the woman that falsely accused a black teen of stealing her cell phone around Christmas in New York. And and she was sued. She got sued by the teen and his parents the other day, and it was a video. Ponsetto's December 26, 2020 altercation went viral when the teen's father, Kenyon Harrell, posted it on Instagram, and the named plaintiffs in this case filed with the New York State Supreme Court for the County of New York. Kenyon Harrell Jr. and his parents, Kenyon Harrell, and the defendants are Ario Soho, LLC, Quantum Hospitality Group, and Chad, Nathan, and Ponsetto. The various corporate defendants are said to have owned, maintained, controlled, and secured the premises where the incident occurred, and undertook to provoke and provide, they were supposed to provide security at the business known as the Ario Soho Hotel to protect individuals thereupon. Defendant Nathan was a manager at the hotel, the court documents state. This case is Harrell versus Ario Soho LLC. The lawsuit opening salvo noted that Harrell, the father, is an African-American man, a Grammy Award-winning jazz musician, and a loving father to his 15-year-old son. The plaintiffs bring this action to seek redress for a violent incident of racial profiling that took place in the lobby of the Ario Soho Hotel. The opening paragraph continues, the episode was yet another instance of African Americans being harmed by baseless accusations while going about their daily life. In this case, racial profiling spiraled into a violent and frightening assault against an innocent African American child. The document alleges that Ponsetto and Nathan immediately focused their attention on Harrell and his son and disregarded all the other non-African American individuals in the lobby when Ponsetto believed her phone had been taken. Immediately upon seeing the plaintiffs, who are African American, the defendant Maya Ponsetto ran over to them and aggressively and violently confronted them. The document continues, defendant Maya Ponsetto wrongfully accused Kenyon Harrell Jr. of stealing her cell phone based on racial profiling. The defendant, Chad Nathan, the director of operations at the Ario Hotel, assisted defendant Maya Ponsetto in her wrongful accusations based on racial profiling and stereotypes. The lawsuit goes on to say that defendant Chad Nathan detained the plaintiffs and demanded that Kenyon Harrell Jr. surrender his cell phone. While the plaintiffs were detained and being accosted by defendants Maya Ponsetto and Chad Nathan, Ponsetto lunged at plaintiffs and grabbed them, scratching Kenyon Harrell's hand and knocking his phone out of his hand. As the plaintiffs tried to disengage from the confrontation instigated by Ponsetto and Nathan, the lawsuit states Ponsetto chased Harrell Jr. down the lobby, tackled the teen by dropping him to the ground, and then began to grab at his pants and rummage through his pockets in an attempt to steal his phone. The father called the police. The lawsuit alleges violations of both the New York City and the New York State human rights laws. It also alleges assault, battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, false imprisonment, negligent hiring, retention, and supervision, negligence, and loss of service. Court papers said Harrell suffered physical and emotional pain and suffering great mental distress, shock, fright, humiliation, embarrassment, emotional distress, feelings of racial stigmatization, and increased sense of vulnerability and unlawful deprivation of their protected rights to exercise and enjoy equal treatment. His parents say they have become obligated to expend diverse sums of money for the care and treatment of their son in an effort to alleviate and cure some of his ills, injuries, suffering, and disabilities sustained, and they will here and there necessary incur further expenses for an indefinite period of time into the future. The lawsuit seeks monetary damages, attorney's fees, and costs, but does not name a dollar amount. And so Attorney Ben Crump is among the plaintiffs. Lawyer Craig Feemeister Esquire is serving as lead counsel, and the New York Police Department previously tweeted surveillance video of the incident in an attempt to locate Ponzetto. And after the incident, Ponzetto infamously shushed CBS interviewer Gayle King while being questioned about the incident. Ponzetto told King she assumed Harold Jr. was probably the one, might be the one, that's trying to steal her phone. And she admitted, I could have approached the situation differently, or maybe not yelled at him like that, or made him feel like, maybe some sort of inferior way, making him feel as if I was hurting his feelings. Ponzetto revealed in the interview that Harold Jr. did not have her phone. The hotel had the phone, and it returned the device to Ponzetto. Ponzetto was arrested in California on criminal charges related to the incident, and New York, and it was reported on January 1st, 2021, that Ponzetto was charged with third-degree attempted robbery, grand larceny, acting in a manner injurious to a child, and 2 counts of attempted assault. And court records in that case indicated she's due back in court on March 29th. That's right. So, yeah. That's right. Get her. Go ahead on and get her. And this is the last story of the day. They had 2 former California cops that pulled over suspects, took their drugs and cash, and pocketed the loot for themselves. So the U.S. Department of Justice today announced charges against 2 police officers accused of conspiring to extort money, property, and even drugs from suspects pulled over in the California highway. According to an originally sealed criminal complaint filed on March 9th in the Northern District of California, officers Brendan Tatum of Santa Rosa and Joseph Huffaker of Roanoke Park were assigned to drug interdiction work for the City of Roanoke Park Department of Public Safety. However, when that team was disbanded due to changes in California marijuana law, the officers allegedly began impersonating agents with the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF, and continuing to pull people over rather than make arrests, refer charges to prosecutors, or log seize evidence in the county lockup. The 2 are alleged to have pocketed the proceeds for themselves. Tatum is accused of extorting at least $3,700 in cash and 60 pounds of marijuana for a value of at least $85,000 in December 2017. The criminal complaint states Huffaker was accused of taking some of the marijuana proceeds, and when he realized the FBI was onto them, Tatum allegedly falsified a police report to cover his tracks. But the numbers were possibly much, much larger. According to the complaint, Tatum evaded his income taxes, failing to report at least $443,000 in cash deposits for the tax year of 2016, for which there is probable cause to believe were derived from his extortion scheme. He and his wife together reported taxable income of $85,000. So they reported a taxable income of $85,000 combined, but had deposited $443,000 in the bank. The stops which led to the charges occurred on U.S. Highway 101 in Sonoma County between Roanoke Park and Cloverdale, some 40 miles to the north, and the feds believe the officers may have even operated in neighboring Mendocino County. The interdiction team shut down on January 2017 due to changes in marijuana laws, and alleged misconduct by the 2 officers said it continued into December of that year and well after the team had shut down its operative. The DOJ complaint against the 2 men says official interactions with the public at large was supposed to have been recorded on officers' body cameras. Court papers say several of the stops were only partially recorded and that no paperwork relating to most of the stops was filed. Some of the allegations involve matters which occurred before the interdiction team was disbanded, and during the course of the operations, the interdiction team on numerous occasions between August 2016 and December 2017. Tatum and others seized money, marijuana, and other property from individuals they stopped along Highway 101 without arresting the individuals, without providing a citation or asset forfeiture notice to the individuals, without filing an incident investigation report, without filing a property evidence report, without submitting the currency, the marijuana, and other property in the custody of the property department without submitting the necessary asset forfeiture documents to the city of Roanoke Park and without filing any application for a destruction order, the criminal complaint states. And ironically, the officers had previously been praised for the fruits of their labor. Man, I tell you. Busted! Busted! Oh well, let's see what's going to happen to them. They got federal charges charged against them now, impersonating federal officers and stealing property from people that was out there. They didn't arrest them. They just took the marijuana, the money, or whatever property they wanted to confiscate from them, and then said, "All right, you can go on about your business. See you later." $440,000 this clown deposited in the bank, but him and his wife made a combined $85,000. What a man! I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. KP Video News, y'all. And I be busting them. Busting them out. Peace.